Okay. The rain has stopped. Thank goodness. That was honestly one of the loudest rainstorms I've seen in London in a long time. I'm in London in the UK. Crazy rain. Okay, so this is one of the mysteries of Highway 17, is the roller mine. I honestly don't think I understood the problem or what the roller mine was for, and I still don't, to be honest. I kind of get it. I mean, it stops. It's kind of annoying. I'm trying to drive and it's zapping the car and it's making the car jump around, and I guess if you get more than one of them, the car becomes undrivable. I mean, I'm not getting hurt, but I just don't think I am. Yes, the car's jumping all over the place. I can't really drive, so more of a hindrance than anything else. And I think that was the thing that I couldn't quite figure out. Is that are they just meant to be annoying? I mean, let's look at their behaviour. So get it, drop it. So they all jump off the car, and then he's coming from me, right? So I let go, zaps me, and it takes away my suit power. I think that's one thing we're getting from it. Okay, so obviously having a bad guy that continually, attacks you, that you can't get rid of, and you're trying to figure a way to get rid of it, so you sort of keep getting rid of it, and and eventually you figure out, well, okay, then actually you figure out that if you chuck it in the water, it blows up. But it's a bit of an odd one. I don't think, certainly not the best bad guy. You don't see them very often in mods, and mod makers don't use them. I think mainly for that reason, is because I think people don't really know what they're for. Obviously in episode 1, Alex can turn them to your advantage, and they can become a sort of an ally. I'm going to die now because I've got no health left, because I was too busy demonstrating roller mines. But yeah, that's kind of useful. I mean, it's a very, very orchestrated scene where she converts it into a friendly roller mine, and you can then you can then use it against the stalkers, I think, in the Citadel when you go back in there in episode 1. So yeah, I kind of have tried to use that. I've been trying to figure out what they're good for. What can I use them for in my new level, and I'm struggling. I mean, other than throwing them up into a space which you can't reach in order to kill all of the bad guys in that space sort of automatically, which is fine. They don't really appear to have a lot of use. Anyway, so just something on roller mines. If anyone has any more facts about roller mines, how they work, little quirks that we didn't know about, let me know. I've certainly had the experience where Alex basically run up to her with a roller mine and she will zap it for you automatically. So you can put that in your levels. If you want to make friendly roller mines, you can actually have Alex do it for you if she's in your levels. Okay, that's roller mines. So then we get to this bit, and once again we're kind of back to this. We've gated the player by, I'm trying to remember how we've gated the player. This stuff here. This was a surprise, this bit, when I got to this building. This is a really good bit of combat, and it's once again a sort of a small, bit of a house situation. You've got 3 Combine hiding in the loft. What they were doing in the loft we don't know, but this is where they were. I've had a few testers kind of ask me, whoa, okay, in the face. I've had a few testers ask me what were the Combine doing, whoa, hang on, something's hurting me, I'm not alone. Come on. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate. Basically, you enter a building and there's a bunch of Combine in there, and it's like, well, what were they doing in there? I mean, in this case, I think these Combine are coming from outside and are coming into the building to attack you, which I kind of like. You go into a building and then the Combine follow you in. Damn. That's quite a nice setup because you get a chance to get used to the playing space. Although I will say, I think this is a bit cluttered. There's a lot of crap lying around, and it's quite a tight space. But I think that it's quite a nice little setup if you can do it. Is the player goes in, they can explore the space, they get used to it, and then the Combine come in after them, and that gives the player the advantage. They know the playing field, and they can improvise and kind of have fun with it. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed this little combat setup here, and also there's areas that, I mean, as we came in, there were Combine here fighting. I think your natural instinct is to go upstairs. I don't know why that is. It's not lit or anything, or maybe it's lighter than other places could be. But rather than come around here and investigate this area a bit more, but you know, there's more to find once the action's over and done with. And I think that's a good lesson for me as well, is to add in some extra. Always add a sort of an extra hidden area, so that once the action's over and done with, if the player wants to then explore the space further, there's something else to find at that point. Okay, so back to the car. I think, I'm trying to remember if it's sort of how we're restricted to get through this space, but maybe we're not. Maybe we just naturally stop because it's a good thing to do. I mean, I can smash through the fence, I can drive through here. Yeah, it's just, isn't that interesting? So, sort of psychologically, maybe I've missed something, but because this blew up as we came around the corner and it dropped the rocks across the thing, but I could have always driven through here. It just looks obstructed, whereas actually it isn't, which is interesting. Once again, it's the psychology of obstruction as opposed to actually gating the player in. Unless, as I say, unless I've missed something, but I don't think I have. This is an obvious thing that you can do on driving levels, is to use physics props, cars and that kind of thing, to block the road and have the player use the gravity gun to clear it. Some goodies there which are hidden just behind the corner. I think one of the lessons is to reward the player for getting out of the car at interesting areas, even if it's only just for one little thing, or a ladder kind of heading down the side to go and check something out. So I'm trying to add in quite a lot of that, meaning that whenever there is a point of interest or something that might be of interest to catch the player's attention, there should be some kind of reward for that, be it a view or a weapon or whatever. So this is where we find the crossbow, and interestingly, I don't know if it comes up again later in the game, but I could have quite easily missed that. I could have come through here and carried on, but I didn't. I think the player naturally moves to points of perspective, and you know, there's quite a lot of that's quite a good lesson to learn, is that if the player's natural instinct is to move to an area of advantage, height vantage, then I think that's a useful tool for us to use. Same as light, you can use height as a thing too. Can I stick your heads out? Probably not. Okay. And at this point, when I last played through this, my natural reaction was to leave the car here and not to take it round the corner to the fence, to the Combine force field around the corner. But there's no reason why you can't take it round now. I just didn't last time, and my natural reaction was not to do that. I think that's useful. Once again, it's the psychology of a barrier as opposed to an actual barrier, and depending on the type of player, some of them might react one way or the other. So it's worth watching in playtesting, I think, to see which way people react to an obstruction. There's a really good bit, and I think I mentioned it on as you come out of the mines in episode 2, there's the huge vista, and then there's the Combine soldiers moving across the bridge in the distance, and that's really interesting because you're not blocked there at all. You could quite easily head down into the valley and just ignore what Alex is saying, ignore her little monologue about how the story, but for whatever reason the players simply don't do that. The player pretty much always is naturally wants to stand right there, and actually I think there's a bit in the commentary, so I'm probably just repeating that, where basically saying all they had to do was put 2 barrels in the way, and that was enough to keep players in one place. And it's the same here with these cars across the road. You know, we're not preventing them from Okay, from moving in, that was satisfying. I liked that very much. Target of opportunity. These tyres, I didn't even recognise these from the model set. These are really good. They're slightly bigger than the regular ones, and a lot more deadly. So, fair. Anyway, so that's that about just blocking the player. This section, I've never really been happy with this whole pushing the thing off the cliff. I think in my head it translated to almost like a physics thing where it's pulling a rope and as it heads off the cliff, but that's not what it's doing at all. It's just disconnecting the power. I'm talking about this. Kind of fun, but for some reason I never really, I don't know, as far as a puzzle goes, I never really saw the APC as a power source. I think if they put some kind of sparks or electricity on it, maybe it might have sold a bit better. I think that's about it for this area. Okay. So I think it comes back to a point, and I don't know if I mentioned it, I was doing my warm-up, whatever, but is how long should I let the player drive for before there's another obstruction? So distractions are fine, because it means the player can stop and go and check it out and explore and see what's going on. But an obstruction is perhaps not fine, because there's certain points where you want to put your foot down, or you want the player to really put their foot down and get some speed up and enjoy the driving. But is driving in a straight line fun? Is driving at a high speed along a road where nothing's really happening fun? If you're not hitting anything, if you're not running stuff over, if you're not interacting with anything, is it fun? I mean, you can easily build a quick map, which is huge, right? A huge, great concrete slab that you can drive along, and you'll probably discover that just driving isn't very fun. Driving whilst having something to look at is quite fun. Like if you were driving along a cliff path like this and there's a gunship or something flying along beside you or something like that, it's kind of interesting. It's dramatic, it holds the player's attention, so that's kind of fun. Running stuff over is quite fun, but it gets old kind of quickly, so you've got to mix it up a bit. And once again, here's a building. I'm not blocked, I'm not stopped from going in here, but I could have driven straight past it. It wouldn't have really made much difference. And actually looking at it, I don't think there's anything worth looking at in here, which is rare, because normally there's something, a nugget of some kind of thing to find. But okay, but nonetheless, it's it keeps it interesting, because it's, as I said in a previous video, it's something else to do. It's busy work for the player to investigate every nook and cranny in every corner of the space. And these destructible fences are very nice, and I certainly want to include some of them or something. Oh, it's a lambda cache. Nice. And now we're getting down into the bridge, which I shall play alone. You don't have to follow me, because this video is about driving and about what's interesting about the driving sections. So I'm going to carry on playing this, and I will pick it up again once we've got the bridge clear, or once we're ready to take that interesting drive across the bridge, if everyone remembers it. I'll be back.